Hello and good evening, everyone. Hello. I see eyeballs are showing up. That means people are joining us. We had some technical issues, but we fixed them. But that meant deleting the original event and recreating a new one at the very last minute. So, stressed. I'm stressed already, but it's good. It's all right. We're here. I've got some fantastic things to share with you. Brianna's joining me here in the background. You know what? I'm so excited to get started talking about infusions with stencils that I'm just going to flip my camera down and we're going to start talking. That way I can flip over to your comments and see what you're saying. So let me just go ahead and flip my camera. Oop, there we go. And let me click over to your comments. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello. Okay, deep breath. Let's get this started. Actually, let me take a quick drink of water. There we go. Okay, so tonight we're talking about infusions, specifically using infusions with stencils. So I am going to show you a few techniques for this, using infusions with stencils. Now, for those of you who don't know what infusions are, here we go. This is a colored stain pigment from PaperArtsy, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. Some of you may have them. Some of you may have color burst or color sparks. You may have something, excuse me, that is similar, just like a colored pigment that comes in a jar. So what makes PaperArtsy different is theirs has a walnut stain base. So you're always going to get some of that kind of richer antique-y look to it. And I will show you that a little bit more in just a second. But we always have a giveaway, and this is our giveaway tonight for Monday Night Live. So one of you is going to win Infusions Slate Blue. Slate Blue. So one of you is going to win this. Before we say goodbye tonight, Brianna, who is in the background here, is running our giveaway tool in the background. And at the end, she's going to run that, and it's going to go through all of your names. You have to comment to get your name in that draw, and it will pull up a name, and that is who will win the Infusion Slate Blue. Okay, so here's some samples that I did earlier today. Actually, this is one that I did in my art journal. I'm just going to raise the camera up just so you can see that a little bit better. I will lower that. So this is just a page in my art journal that I did. This was actually a tag. I cut it down, made a really simple background. I cut some circles out of it just so it'll have a bit of a peekaboo behind here. Not finished. I will do something here, but that's just a really quick art journal page that I did with one of the tags. So here's another one I did. This is actually using the same stencil. This was print number 1. This is print number 2 with stenciling over top. I'm going to show you how I did that. I also, I did some stamping. I did some stamping as well. And with the infusions and did this to give her a bit of, thank you, Brianna. I already forgot. We do have a demo deal going on with tonight's demo, 25% off PaperArtsy stamps and stencils, excluding the August release and last chance. Thank you so much. So this was actually stamping. And then I stamped over it again with black, cut it out because I wanted her to have a bit of a hat. This is what it looks like without. This is actually, it's not really an infusion, but I use the rusting powder. Are you talking about these stencils, Jillian? These stencils are from PaperArtsy, and they are from the August release. They are Lynn Perella, and both of these stencils are from that release. I'm obsessed with these stencils. Okay, so I'm actually going to move these out of the way for a second, and we're going to start talking about infusions. Here we go. So these are all my infusions. These are all of the infusions. I have all of them. And then in here, I actually have little sample discs. So when I'm looking for colors, I can just spread these out and be like, oh yeah, those two colors are totally going to work together. So I have all of these, and this is how I actually chose my colors. I know that I moved my camera up. I'm going to move it back down. There we go. So this is one of the storage tins from Tim Holtz. I actually took the bottom plastic thing out so I could fit all of these in here. I also have in here, this has vinegar in it. And you're probably wondering, why do you have vinegar? I'm going to talk about that in a second. But with your infusions, they come with a very soft aluminum top. So they are a very fine powder, like very fine powder. So all I did was I took my pokey tool, poked a hole in the top, and now I've got a really easy way to tap it out in a controlled way. Now I don't always apply it like that, and I will show you other ways I like to apply it. But this is how I store them. This is all the colors, and I also have my rusting powder in here as well. Okay, so like I said, I made these discs of all of the colors, put the names on the back and everything. Now I let these dry naturally. I did not take my heat tool to them. And the reason why I did that is I wanted to get the maximum walnut pigment released in it. The longer you let these sit wet, the longer that walnut stain has time to release. So you're going to get more of that brown in it. So there's lots of really, oh, look, the one I picked up, slate blue. That's our giveaway. And that's what that one looks like. Now, if you take your heat tool to it fairly soon after you add water to it, it's going to stop that brown pigment from exploding. So you will get less of that. Now, if you happen to like the brown pigment and you're like, I just want that. Well, PaperArtsy came out with just walnut. And that is what that looks like. Gives you a really great, almost coffee dyed, tea dye kind of look to it, just kind of a vintagey, worn look. So that is just walnut. And this is the one where you will find a little bit of it mixed in with the rest of these colors. Now, there's several ways you can use these. Let me just grab out a piece of paper here. I'm just going to show you a couple just on this tag. So you can do the sprinkle and spritz, which is just taking your infusions, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on my paper. So there we go. So you can see, look at all those tiny, like I hardly sprinkled anything out of there. Now I'm going to take my water, just plain old water, and it just explodes into color. Absolutely stunning. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Those darker pigments, that's that just walnut, just kind of now exploding. So if I wanted to stop that, I can just hit it with water, and that walnut stain will stop its infusion. It will stop creating color. Now, these will always remain. Thank you, Paper and Ink Boutique. Ooh, I know, it is so cool. Okay. So I can spray it with water. Or sorry, I can heat it with my heat tool, and that brown will then stop its color bursting, its release. Just going to sop up some of those darker. So that's what that looks like. And you saw how little pigment I put on there. I have owned all of these, I think, since the store opened, since we started carrying PaperArtsy in February 20 of 19. And I haven't replaced any of these. And I use these a lot because they're absolutely so mesmerizing to me. But you use so little and you get so much. Now, so that was the sprinkle and spritz. Now I can also spray my paper, and I can, let's pick a different color here. I can also sprinkle in to the water, and then it just starts to flow and do its thing. Now, when I do this, I like to just leave it. I don't like to touch it. I just like to let it do its own thing. Look how gorgeous that is. So sprinkle and spritz and sprinkle. Okay, two very basic ways to use these. And you can use these exact same techniques with your mica powders, with, I think, brushos is the same thing, color bursts. If you have any of those, they are all basically the same thing. It's just that their colors and formulations are slightly different. So there you go. Now what blue? I think that was Green Man that I used. And now I put it down and I can't remember. Yeah, it was Green Man that I used there. And I know you're looking at it, you're like, there's a lot of blue in there. Yeah, I know. Yeah. So this color was Frankly Scarlet. Just going to move this down just a little bit more again. Frankly Scarlet was this one, and this one was Green Man. Green Man. Okay. Sprinkle and spritz, spritz and sprinkle. So powder, then water, water, then powder. Two very basic ways to use it. I'm just going to set this aside. There we go. Now, let's start using them in different ways. Now, I didn't make some of these up, but you can make your own sprays with these. Let me just check. I actually might have one. I think this might be one. No, it's too purple. No, that's definitely not it. I made something else, but that's with mica. But you can, if you've got a mini mister or mister bottle, you can put some of these in with some water and make your own sprays. So you can do that with these too. Now, something else that you can do, let me grab out this, and let's start making stuff with stencils. I'm just going to get some paper towel, a double, no, I don't want to use this. I want to use a tag. There we go, tag over here. I am going to show you how I created this one. Okay. I'll show you how I created this one here. And it was so fun. And I keep moving my camera up and down. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to grab out a stencil. This is the front of the stencil. I'm actually going to flip it over to the back of the stencil for this. So remember how I said we did sprinkle and spritz? I'm going to do sprinkle and spritz with the stencil, and then we're going to apply it to the tag. So what do I mean by that? Let's use a rusty car. If you're wanting to know what rusty car looks like, let me find it for you. I should have these in alphabetical order, but I don't. And it's probably going to be the last one. Well, fourth to last. There we go. There's rusty car. So it's probably one of my favorites. I just love this color combination. So that's the one I'm going to use here. Okay, so I'm going to put it over my stencil, and I am just going to start. I know I've done that. I am going to put a piece of paper under here because we're going to get a twofer. We're going to get a 2-for-1. Okay, so I'm going to sprinkle rusty car over my stencil. I'm not going to lift it up because I don't want any of those powders to start moving. And then I'm going to use, this one's limoncello, which is another really great color. This is it right here. I'm going to sprinkle limoncello around here. And I think I'm going to stop at just the 2 colors. So I've got very little bits of powder around here. So now you know why this hole is so important. I can tap on here and it's very controlled. I'm not getting a ton of powder. Okay. So I'm going to take my water here, just regular old water, and spray it over this stencil. There we go. So look at that color just emerging. It's so pretty. Okay, let me move this over just a smidge. Just going to wipe that up, bring my tag in. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stencil, we're going to flip it over, and I'm going to put it over on my tag. That's what I mean by a crafty twofer. Look at that. Okay, so I'm just going to just gently go over that stencil with my finger, just to press that pigment into the paper. But look at this one. Isn't that one gorgeous? Okay, so now I'm going to peel this out. There we go. So there is our crafty twofer. So on here is where I sprinkled and spritzed, and then we sprinkled and spritzed and then flipped it over. So we actually have these both right here. I love them both, actually. I think they're both gorgeous. Now, this one is just, I mean, I love it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. Might cut her face out and use it for something. But look at this one. Isn't that stunning? Now, there's a lot of water on there, and don't worry, I'm going to take care of that. It's not quite dry, but look at how stunning that is. Now I'm going to come back with the stencil and we're going to do another technique with this, but I'm just going to set that just aside for a moment. I'm going to bring in another tag. Because my stencil still has a lot of pigment on there. Normally I wouldn't use this much paper towel, but in the interest of trying to keep it down, the mess down. So I'm just going to come in just with a bit more water, and we're going to do it again. Just gently pressing that stencil. And then we're going to peel this up. So a bit messier, still a bit looser, but when I do the next technique with the stencil, you're going to see a lot of really great detail come up. So because the powders remain, just going to move this over to the side, because the powder remains water reactive, cleaning your stencils is really easy. You can just add some water, blot off all of that pigment, and then your stencil will be nice and clean again. And there we go, a nice clean stencil. There was still enough on there. I probably could have done it again, but yeah, but there we go. Isn't that stunning? Let me bring those back in. 1, 2, and then our first one there. Now, isn't that amazing? Absolutely stunning. Now, what I would do with this one, because this is the original, so you can see that fills that stencil in there. I would probably come in and just do a little bit of pen work, maybe with some, I don't know what I would do, some pen work maybe, kind of bring up the details there. That would be fun. I'm just going to set that aside. Okay, but we've got these here. So this was our first flip over. This one was the second. Still some wet spots on here, so just give me a moment. And I'm going to dry these a bit more. I'm just going to take up some of that because it's pretty thick, going to take a while to dry. There we go. There we go. Take a look at those. Okay, so I saw this technique, and it was actually one that's not new. I just kind of, we learn so many things, and sometimes it just doesn't stick in your brain. But I saw Leandra do this one in August with this release, and I was like, I love that, and I need to do that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let me grab my palette sheet here. Let's maybe put it over on this side. My palette sheet, I'm going to use some little black paint. You can use whatever black paint you have. Just going to squeeze that out on there, and I'm going to grab a sponge and a dauber, and I'm going to pick up some paint. If you've never used paint on a sponge foam, you want to pick up a little bit of paint, and then you want to tap. So you're going to get a nice thin coat of paint over the entire thing. If you look at it, there's no globs, there's no really big things on there, right? So you don't have a lot of paint. Okay, I'm going to come back over here. I'm going to line my stencil up exactly. So you can see, there we go, lined it up exactly. Now I'm going to drop it, and I'm going to move it a little to the left. So I dropped and shifted. Now this one has this, which moves a lot. So I'm actually going to try and hold that down because I don't want it to move. And I am just going to keep doing this until there's no more paint before I reload it. So I'm just going to keep tapping until there is no more paint coming off that foam. Let's come down here, do her shirt, or her shoulders, I mean. So I put very little paint on there, and I've probably done at least 2/3 of this stencil. Okay, it is running out, so I'm just going to reload my paint. Oops, and I looked away and shifted. Hang on. There we go. There we go. Hang on. What are you tapping off on? Oh, this is a Prism Studio palette paper pad. So I can put all my paint on here, and then when I'm done and when this is all filled, I can just rip it off and throw it in the garbage. But I'll usually use up the palette paper until this thing is covered. It just helps with cleanup. And there we go. Oh my word, look how gorgeous that is. Look how gorgeous that is. It adds in all of those details of her face. And because we've shifted it, it also gives you kind of those highlights in it. Isn't that stunning? Now, I would probably also come in with a gel pen, maybe put a highlight in her eyes. But look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Stunning. Oh my word. I love it. Love, love, love. So you don't just have to do these with facial stamps. I mean, it does give you a really fabulous look. Like this is lovely. What powder did I use here? I used these two. I used Rusty Car and Limoncello are the two infusions that I used. Rusty Car, Limoncello is what I used here. I'm actually just going to leave those on there. So if somebody asks me again, I'll remember. Okay, so I used a facial stencil with that one. Now I'm going to come back. Hang on. I'm going to show you. Let me move this out of the way. I have this Dina stencil that I've just been dying to use. So let's do this one. We're going to do the exact same thing. So I want to show you that it just doesn't have to be, it doesn't just have to be a facial stencil, although those do look amazing. Let me bring this over. Okay, so we're going to do it again. Going to do something a little different. Okay, so this is a new Dina stencil. Haven't even used it yet, but I'm very excited. Let's use Emerald Isle. And Emerald Isle, nope. Well, that's the other one I want to use. Where's Emerald Isle? There we go. I want to use Emerald Isle and Slime. These are the two I'm going to use here. Okay, so we are going to do a sprinkle and spritz. When I do the stencils, I like doing sprinkle and spritz better than spritz and sprinkle. So I'm going to come in here, and which one am I using? Emerald Isle, which is this top one. And I'm going to keep that more down the center. And most of the leaves. Okay. Now, if I would have been thinking, we have to get our twofer. There we go. And then slime, I'm going to do on the outer. There we go. So now I've got my powders on there. I'm going to grab my water. There we go. Move this over just a smidge. Bring in my other paper here. And all the paper I'm using, the tags are Dina Wakley tags, and the paper is Vicky Bouton. Is the Vicky Bouton 140 pound. Okay, so I've got that on here. I'm just going to go around. I'm going to press that stencil down so that everything is getting some contact with my paper there. There we go. There we go there. I'm going to set that one off to the side. Let me grab something else. Have I run out of, I just grabbed a bunch of paper and I thought, oh, that's going to be plenty. And I've run out. Hang on. Look at how gorgeous that is. Isn't that stunning? Okay. Going to bring this back in. Let's give it another spray of water. Now, another way I like to use it, if you like to be a little bit more surprise me, you can leave your stencil down and then you can lay whatever paper you have on there and press your paper down. This kind of gives you a more of a aha moment. So you can just press it down. And I like to leave it for a few seconds because I like to give time for that pigment, that color to kind of transfer. And there that is. Isn't that gorgeous? Stunning. And there is not a lot left on there. Maybe if I spray it, might be able to get something lighter, but let's do it again. Oh, that's still pretty. That is still pretty. Wow. Wow, I love that one. That one actually surprised me how much I loved it. Okay, let me just clean this up. So again, I would come back and I would layer over top of these. Might bring the stencil in and do some inking over top of it. Oop. There we go. There we go. And that one is done. So that one we got a lot out of. Actually, if you put them in order, do you think the stencil would stick to the paper if you left it? You know, it might. It might. I don't know. I've never really left them that long. I really only leave them for a few minutes. Maybe like I have left them up to like 2 or 3 minutes, but not enough for everything to dry. So that was the positive or negative. I don't know. I always get mixed up. And then this is the where we flipped it over the first time. Stunning. This was the second of the flip over. I think this one might be my favorite. And then this was the third time. But look at that. That was gorgeous. And those two colors were Slime and Emerald Isle. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Okay. So I've shown you what you can do with these with stencils. I mean, just look. Now, I do have to say, when I get out my infusions, just like a lot of the other stuff that I do, if I'm getting out my Better Press, if I get out the glimmer machine, if I get out my infusions, I'm going to make prints and prints and prints. Same with my gel plate. I'm going to sit and I'm going to play for at least an hour. I'm just going to sit and play and make prints. Oh, Glenn just dropped off your home. I was wondering where he went. I came up here and he goes, oh, I'm going out. I said, okay, bye. And he went out. I didn't realize he was going to do deliveries. That's hilarious. Okay. So there we go. So if I'm going to get these out, I'm going to sit, I'm going to play, I'm going to like get messy, and it's going to be great. Jillian, you're getting too far ahead of me, girl. Like, give me a moment. I'm getting there. Okay. So there we go. Isn't that amazing? And for so little. Okay, I need to start using the floor because all of my table space is filled up. So those are going on the floor. Okay, now Jillian asked a very good question. Paste. What do I even have here for paste? Heather does all the paste now, so I don't have a lot of paste here at home. What do I have? Okay. Well, I've got gesso and I've got, hang on. Oh, I had another one. Hang on. Oh, light and fluffy. Yeah, here we go. I got gesso and I got light and fluffy. Okay. So another way to use stencils, and I'm going to show you another way to use paste, or sorry, another way to use the infusions. Okay, I'm going to bring back in my palette here. Oh, let's move it over here. Here we go. Let me grab, hang on, I've got some bigger tags. Let me grab a bigger tag here. There we go. Perfect. I'm just going to make just a really simple background with these. Now, another thing you can do with these, you can do the dip. You know how you do the dip? Yeah. You can do that with these too. I'm not going to do that though. Change my mind. What do we have? What do we have? Let's do just walnut. Just walnut. Now this one I haven't done a hole in, and why not? I don't really know why I haven't. So I'm just going to show you how easy that is. Just to take your pokey tool and poke a hole through that lid. There we go. Hole through just walnut. I'm going to sprinkle just walnut all over my tag. I'm just making a really easy background, nothing too crazy. Just going to take my water. We're going to give that a nice spray. We're going to get a really nice look to this. Love, love, love. Look at how gorgeous that is. Okay, let's give it a dry. I used a lot of water. It's going to take a while to dry, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Trying to tap off some of that excess water. It is, isn't it, Kim? I know. When I spray it, it's just, I love it. It's just so beautiful. Okay, so there we go. We have our just walnut background on our tag. Really gorgeous. Let me just wipe this out. Okay, now over here on my palette, I'm going to mix it. Do I want to do light and fluffy? I think I'm going to use gesso. I'm going to use the gesso. Hang on, I need to grab a palette knife. Now this paint is dry, just in case you're wondering. Poke a hole in the foam lid. Poke a hole in the foam lid. I clip around the foam and push it into. Interesting. All right, so I put some gesso on there. This is thick gesso from Stamperia, so it's really thick. Now, can you use them with these? Yes, you can. Let me pick, terracotta. Terracotta. That is this color here. Terracotta. I think that'll look really good with this. So I'm going to put a little bit of powder off the side. I'm not mixing it in here. I'm putting it over here. So I'm going to take some of this and I am going to mix it with my gesso, my thick gesso. And you can see it does tint it. Now, if you want it darker, just add more. And you can add as much or as little as you like to get the color that you like. And then, do you know what? I think I'm going to come in with a little bit of Frankly Scarlet, just to kind of ramp up that orange. A little. bit. Frankly Scarlet again. And maybe a little cerise. Are you cerise? Yes, I am very cerise. Ah, there we go. Okay. So yes, you can mix it. You can also mix it with paint. What stencil do I want to use? What stencils do I have? What do I have here? I'm supposed to be talking. Oh. There we go. Oops. I'm just going to roll this in my hand just to make it a little bit flatter. Here we go. Let's grab this stencil here. I'm putting it on the back of my palette knife, and then I can just drag it over my stencil. And there you go. Isn't that fun? So yes, you can use it to tint. You can use it to tint clear paste. They look really gorgeous in clear paste. You can use it with your matins as well. Now, hang on. I need to clean this stencil. I don't know if Heather's watching. If Heather's watching, she's probably having a heart attack. So let me just clean it off my stencil really quick. When cleaning paste off my stencil, I like to add a little bit of water. Now, normally I would have a stencil bath, but I didn't think that far in advance. As I'm putting the paste through my stencil is when I think, I should probably have a stencil bath. That's usually when it occurs to me. But you just add a little bit of water, wipe that off, boom, clean stencil. Okay, matins. Let me grab a matint. Stunning. Will it continue to brown as the gesso dries? It should. It should, yes. And that's why I'm not going to take a heat tool to it. Okay, matins. So matins are a glaze, a tinted glaze, and they are also from PaperArtsy, but they are a tinted glaze, so they are translucent, but you can add infusions to them. I'm just going to find one that I want to use. Maybe Violet Storm. Let's try that one. There we go. Let's find a tag. And I am going to use a brush for this. Here we go. So I am not completely mixing in the powder in with the matint. So I get those streaks in there. But look at how gorgeous that is. Now, I should have done regular so you could see what this looks like on its own before I put the matint in it. I didn't think about that. Grab another brush. So that is what the matint looks like on its own down here. And this is what it looks like after I added the infusions. So you can see how a much different look you get by adding an infusion to it. Completely different, but it's the same thing. And because it's a glaze, this works not only as an adhesive, but it also works as a sealer as well. And when this dries and you've mixed the infusion in with it, the infusions are then sealed within the glaze and will no longer be water soluble. They will no longer mix with water if you mix it with the matint. So there you go. You can see the difference in colors there. Okay, I'm going to put this aside and I want to show you how you can use these with stamps. It's like, why is the word not coming to me? Yes, you can use infusions with stamps. And it's one of my favorite things to do. Okay, so I've got my stamp. I'm just wondering, do I want to, or do I want to? Let's do that. Okay, so here's my stamp. That was Violet Storms. Violet Storms is that one that I used. And just looking to see. Yeah, there we are. That is Violet Storms. There you go. Okay, so I've got my stamp and I'm going to take, let's use this one, Orange County. I haven't used this one tonight. So I'm going to take this and I am going to sprinkle my infusions over my stamp. And we're going to be able to get 1 or 2 different prints off of there. I'm going to try and do 3. Okay, so now I put the infusions on my stamp. Now what do? We need to add water. So I'm going to spritz that with water. I'm going to take my paper and we're going to press it on there. Now, if I had this on a stamp block, I would have done it the other way. But look at that. Again, let's add some water. Before I do that, let me dry this one. There we go. There we go. Lovely. Let's do it again in this corner. Oh, love that. Look at how gorgeous that's turning out. Now, I haven't sprayed it with water. Let me do it one more time. Just a light spritz. I mean, it's just stunning. I'm just going to keep printing. Look at this beautiful background. I mean, come on. Absolutely stunning. I have tried it with clear. It does work okay. I have had more success with the rubber, but you can do it. And I find if you have the clear stamps, it doesn't really work very well with sentiments, of course, because they get a little too runny and washed out. But for like background stamps, I've had more success with acrylic background stamps. Swipe that up. So there you go. And that is using that with a stamp. That stamp came out of this stamp set here, TS096. And I want to say this was the July release. Tracy Scott's June or July. July, I think, was her release. TS096. And this one would be included in the sale. Okay. So look at that. Like you can create your own backgrounds. I don't know what I want to do with that, but it's stunning. Like it's just absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so before we leave, I do want to talk about I don't want to waste this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray this really good. And we are going to flip it over and we're going to let that sit for a moment. Let me move that over. Okay, let's talk about rusting powder. Technically not an infusion, okay? Not an infusion. And if you were to feel this, I don't know how much this weighs, but this weighs so much. So this is rusting powder. What can you do with rusting powder? Well, you can do this. That is what you can do. This is rusting powder on a tag, and I sprayed it with vinegar. I did this probably 3 hours ago, and I let it dry. Yeah. Okay. So let me bring in one of my other. Sorry, one of my other ones. Had to reach over here and grab it. So these also had rusting powders. See where that orange is? That is rusting powder. Now, I did take a couple of paints, these two colors, Coastal and Jade, on these tags, and I just brayered them over, left lots of white space, and then I sprinkled on the rusting powder, sprayed it with vinegar, and I actually set it. It was earlier in the day, so the sun was coming in, and I sat it in a sunny spot in my craft room and just let the sun and the vinegar and the rusting powder just do its thing. And within less than an hour, they were dry and they look gorgeous. And then I finished these off. But this one, I mean, look at that. Isn't that stunning? Ugh, I love it so much. Let me grab another tag and I'll just show you how to create this background. Really easy. So this, probably not going to use as a giant tag. I did say vinegar. Yeah, vinegar. And I put vinegar in. Oh my gosh, where did I put it? It was here. It was with my infusions. It was a mini mister, a mister bottle with vinegar in it. I had it. It was right here. What did I do with it? Anyhow, I keep a mister with vinegar in it. And I'm just moving these to see if I can find my mini mister with vinegar. And I can't. Yeah, I don't know what I did with it. But yes, so all I did was I sprinkled the rusting powder. Actually, no, for this one I didn't. I actually opened it up because I wanted a lot of rusting powder on it before I sprayed it with the vinegar. And that is irritating me that I can't find the vinegar because I just had it. All right, so I took a big brush, but small enough to fit in the bottle. Okay. You wouldn't be able to see this on camera. It takes a pretty long time for the vinegar to start working. But I just took the rusting powder and I just dabbed it all over my piece of paper because I wanted a lot of it. Why vinegar? Because the vinegar reacts with the metal fragments, and that's what this is. These are metal fragments. So the vinegar is going to then start reacting with the metal and cause it to rust. Now you can also use lemon juice. It won't work with water. It will not work with water because I've tried water. I've tried, I shouldn't say it didn't work with water. It took a very long time and it didn't rust like this. It was very little. No. Oh, who did that? Who said that? It was in the lid. Kathy, you're my little crafting fairy. I need you in my craft room all the time so you can tell me where all the things are that I've lost. That is, Kathy is now my crafting fairy. Now, you can also sprinkle this through stencils. You can do all the same things with it. But if you do use it on stamps, you're going to want to wash it off right away. Now on this one, I did it all over the place. But this one I'm going to do in kind of a controlled manner, just down the tank like this. No, you wouldn't want to use this with a magnetic mat. No, because it is metal fragments. Does it say on here exactly what it is? No. Now it says on here you can sprinkle it on wet glue. I've tried that to moderate success. Basically anything liquid. Now you do have to use an acid though. It works. Does it smell like vinegar? No, no, I don't smell the vinegar. And it does say sprinkle with wet glue and spritz with water. And that's how I used it first and didn't have any great success with it. And I got very frustrated. And then I watched a video from, I believe it was Scrap Cozy, and she used it with lemon juice and then she used it with vinegar. And I found the vinegar works the best. You can use it to alter metal pieces. Yes, you can. Okay, so this is vinegar in my mini mister, and you just want to go in and spray it with your vinegar pretty generously because you want all of those pigments, and I think I ran out. I have very little left in here. Yeah, I ran out of vinegar because I didn't refill it. And then you just want to let it sit. You literally want to do this and then walk away. Like I said, I did this one about 3 in the afternoon, sprayed it with vinegar. I'm just using regular distilled vinegar, just stuff that I have in my kitchen. Just regular vinegar, kitchen vinegar, distilled vinegar, just regular vinegar you just buy in the store. Yeah. And I let this sit. So I did it about 3. It's now 7:30. It's completely dry. And now that looks absolutely amazing. And it doesn't smell and it's all completely rusted. Yeah, there you go. So just remember, if you can't remember, just remember you have to use an acid to get this activated. And what I have found, vinegar. That is what I found works the best. And if you're doing it on a sunny day, if you set it outside in the sun, if you set it I set it on the windowsill of my craft room because it was sunny, the sun was coming in, and it started to work really good. Now, I don't know if you can see it. It's just starting to work here. You can just barely see the brown coming up. But if I leave this, that vinegar will then just start activating, or sorry, the vinegar will start activating that rusting powder. And then this will turn into this. Isn't that stunning? Oh my gosh. Yeah, absolutely amazing. So if I wanted to do a rusty page in my art journal, I could do this, let it sit overnight, and then I have a nice rusty page that I can then start working on. But I love this so much. Okay, so I'm just going to move this off to the side. Just going to bring in a couple of things. Brianna, we are at 7:30, so what I want you to do is start running that random number generator because we have a bottle of the slate blue infusions to give away. Oh, remember this one? Oh, that looks great. I'm going to try and stamp this a couple more times. How fun is that? This is why I get these things out and I just play for hours because you can get so much out of it. Okay, so if you're wondering how to clean these, I am just going to spray. Now, one thing that I didn't also share with you, which is also a fun way to use these. If you've got a background dye, canning vinegar might work faster. Yeah, I just don't do canning, but any vinegar will do. Yeah. Yeah, I just use regular vinegar. So I just sprayed that with the water, patted it with my paper towel, and now it's clean again. There you go. Well, as clean as my stamps get. Brianna, are you there? We're going to do the random number generator. So if you want to start running that while I grab some stuff to bring back in. So like I was saying, if you've got background dies, you can cut those out in paper. You can lay them down on another piece of paper, sprinkle. No, the giveaway tool. Sorry, did I say random number generator? I meant the giveaway tool. I hope you've been running the giveaway. Yep, go ahead, come on screen. We are going to give away a bottle of Slate Blue. Who will it be? There are so many fun ways. Now, the person who uses this the most is Scrap Cozy. So you can go back, look through her YouTube channel, and she uses the infusions a lot, but so many great ways to use it. Carolyn McBride, you are the winner, and you will be getting the bottle of infusions in Slate Blue. Congratulations. I've got so many things here. I'm just going to bring them back on screen. So fun. So don't forget, we have got tonight's demo deal, which is 25% off PaperArtsy stencils and stamps. Is that correct, Brianna? I've already forgotten. I'm so bad. I'm so bad. But there you go. So much fun. So much fun. Infusions are so great, and I haven't gotten them out in a long time, and I can't remember if somebody suggested I use them, and now that's all I want to do is I just want to keep playing with my infusions because they're so fabulous. Yes, 25% off PaperArtsy stamp and stencils. It does exclude the August release, but oh my gosh, how fun are these? So yeah, if you want to remember about rusting powder, I'm actually going to put in the description for tonight's live on YouTube what we use so that you can come back, take a look here, but also you can check out Scrap Cozy. She's used rusting powders and she's used infusions a lot. There you go. Thank you so much for joining me. Congratulations, Carolyn. We will get your infusions out to you ASAP. And thank you again so much. We'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye.